Chapter 1: The Overhead Muse. In the bustling city of Varenth, Thomas lived a life colored by routine. Each day, he clocked in at the publishing house, his desk stacked high with manuscripts that begged for his keen editorial eye. Yet, beneath the monotony lay a pulse of yearning, a longing that transcended the pages he read. It blossomed every time he glimpsed her, the woman above. Her name was Clara, and she resided in the apartment directly above his. From his window, Thomas could see her moving about, her silhouette dancing gracefully against the sheer curtains. She was an artist, often lost in her canvas, painting worlds vibrant and alive. To him, she was a muse, a vibrant brushstroke against his otherwise gray existence. Days turned into weeks, and the yearning deepened. Thomas found himself crafting stories in his mind, imagining lives they could share, words left unspoken. He often visited the local cafe, hoping for a chance encounter, a moment to bridge the distance between them. But every time he spotted her, laughter echoing in the air with friends, he hesitated, paralyzed by shyness. One rainy evening, as he returned home, he noticed Clara standing at the bus stop, her umbrella tilting under the weight of the downpour. It was the first time he saw her vulnerability, and something ignited within him. With a deep breath, he approached, heart pounding like a drum. "Hey! Would you like to share my umbrella?" Her surprised gaze met his, and a smile broke through the clouds, brighter than the sun. "I'd love that." They huddled beneath the small shield, their shoulders brushing, as Thomas took his first steps into the world he had only imagined. Chapter 2: The First Connection. As the rain poured down around them, Thomas felt an electric thrill in the air, a current connecting them in ways he had never anticipated. Clara's laughter danced above the sound of raindrops hitting the pavement. "You must be my lucky charm," she said, shaking droplets from her umbrella. "I was just about to give up on waiting." Thomas chuckled, their warmth mixing with the chill of the evening. "Well, I'm glad I showed up then." They fell into an easy conversation, discussing everything from art to the city's hidden gems. With each shared story, Thomas felt the walls around his heart begin to crack. When they reached her building, Clara paused at the door, her smile softening. "Thanks for rescuing me," she said, her eyes sparkling with gratitude. "Can I offer you a cup of coffee as a thank you? I make a mean brew." His pulse quickened. "Sure, I'd like that." They climbed the stairs together, the atmosphere crackling with anticipation. Inside her apartment, the walls were adorned with her paintings, each piece a window into her soul. The scent of fresh coffee enveloped them as Clara poured two steaming cups. "Your work is incredible," Thomas said, awestruck by the colors and emotions spilling from the canvas. "I've never seen anything like it." Clara's cheeks flushed, and she brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. "Thank you. Art is my way of expressing what words can't." As they talked, the conversation flowed effortlessly, and Thomas realized he was no longer just a stranger in her life, he was becoming part of her story. As the evening wore on, the space between them shrank, each glance igniting sparks. Thomas knew he was falling for her, an inevitable tide that swept through his heart. But he hesitated, fearing the vulnerability that came with love. Chapter 3: The Heart's Confession. Days turned into nights and Thomas and Clara's connection deepened. They met frequently, their laughter echoing through the hallways of her apartment. Together they shared meals and secrets, discovering the layers of each other's souls. Clara's artistic passion ignited something within him, and he began to see the world in richer hues. One evening, as they sat on her balcony, overlooking the city lights twinkling like stars, Thomas felt an overwhelming urge to confess his feelings. The air was thick with anticipation, and he could hear his heart racing. He turned to Clara, who was lost in thought, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "Clara," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "I need to tell you something." She turned, curiosity in her eyes. "I've never felt this way about anyone before." The moment hung between them, fragile yet potent. Clara's breath caught as she leaned in closer. "What do you mean?" "I think I'm in love with you," he confessed, the words spilling from his lips like a long-buried secret. You've become my muse, my inspiration. I've been captivated by you since the first moment I saw you. Clara's eyes widened, a mixture of surprise and delight dancing across her features. Thomas, I didn't know you felt that way. I've been drawn to you, too. You've brought color into my life that I didn't realize was missing. In that moment, everything shifted. Their hands found each other, fingers intertwining as the city buzzed beneath them. The tension that had lingered in the air melted away, replaced by warmth and possibility. Chapter 4, A New Palette. With their feelings finally laid bare, Thomas and Clara ventured into a new chapter, exploring the uncharted territory of love. Each day brought fresh colors to their lives, painting their world in shades they had never imagined. Clara introduced Thomas to the beauty of her art, and he inspired her with stories of resilience and hope. Their routine flourished. Morning coffee became a ritual, and evenings were spent weaving dreams and laughter. Thomas would help Clara prepare for her exhibitions, ensuring that every piece was showcased perfectly. In turn, she encouraged him to share his writing, inviting him to read his work aloud under the warm glow of fairy lights. One Saturday they attended an art festival, where Clara's pieces were displayed prominently. As people admired her work, Thomas felt a surge of pride. "You deserve this," he whispered, watching her animated conversations with admirers. Clara turned to him, her eyes shimmering with joy. "I couldn't have done it without you." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in breathtaking colors, they found a quiet spot away from the crowd. Clara pulled out a small sketchbook, flipping to a blank page. "Let's create something together," she proposed, handing him a pencil. Thomas hesitated but took the pencil. "What should we draw?" "Let's draw our dreams," she said, her smile infectious. They sketched side by side, their ideas merging into a shared vision of the future, a life full of art, stories, and love. With each stroke, they built a foundation, their hearts aligned in a beautiful symphony of creativity. Chapter 5, The Tempest. Just as Thomas and Clara seemed to be flourishing, a storm brewed on the horizon. It began subtly, a missed text here, a late-night meeting there. Clara's artistic commitments began to intensify, and Thomas felt the weight of their busy lives pushing them apart. One evening, Clara arrived home late from an exhibition, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. "I'm sorry, Thomas. I didn't mean to worry you," she said, rubbing her temples. "Are you okay?" he asked, concern etching his features. "You seem overwhelmed." She sighed, leaning against the wall. "It's just a lot right now. I've been trying to juggle everything, and I'm scared I'm going to let it all slip through my fingers." As she spoke, Thomas felt a familiar pang of helplessness. "I want to support you, but it feels like we're losing time together." "I know," she replied, her voice softening. "I don't want to lose us either." But the unspoken tension lingered, and they both sensed the widening gap. Their moments together began to feel strained, filled with unsaid words and heavy silences. One fateful night, during a heated discussion about their priorities, Clara said something that struck Thomas like lightning. "Maybe we're just not meant to be." Those words hung in the air, an unbearable weight that threatened to fracture everything they had built. Thomas's heart shattered at the thought. "How can you say that? We're building a life together." "I know," she replied, her voice trembling. "But sometimes love isn't enough." Chapter 6, The Rebirth. Days turned into weeks of silence, an aching void left where their laughter used to be. Thomas poured himself into his work, yet every page felt hollow. He missed Clara, the way she illuminated his world, the way their dreams intertwined. He knew they had to confront the storm instead of avoiding it. Summoning his courage, Thomas knocked on Clara's door one evening. She opened it, surprise flickering in her eyes. "Thomas, Can we talk?" he interrupted gently. Clara nodded, stepping aside to let him in. The atmosphere felt charged, heavy with unspoken feelings. "I've thought a lot about us," he began, heart racing. "I don't want to lose you. We can figure this out together." Clara's gaze softened and for the first time in weeks, hope flickered between them. "I've missed you," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've missed us. I believe we can create a balance, Clara. Your art and my writing, they can coexist, just like we do. Let's support each other, not let this drive us apart." Tears welled in her eyes, and she stepped closer, her hand finding his. "You're right. I don't